Hey all, No Null here. The latest SMG4 episode, Split, is the beginning of the second arc of 2025 and is going to be the continuation of the cliffhanger ending from Silence of the Cats, where we see Mr. Puzzles somehow contact Mr. Weapons during his lowest point, despite the fact that Mr. Puzzles is currently locked up in prison. Mr. Puzzles extends an offer of friendship to Mr. Weapons, which is when the cliffhanger ends. The Split episode doesn't contain too many significant events or details worth theorising about, so I'll just recap the ending. After Leggy gets accidentally split from Meggy, despite Leggy supposedly having disappeared for good, which is how I interpreted this line from WPNZ 2024, Meggy convinces Leggy to join back with her after promising to contact Mr. Puzzles as a lawyer, which Leggy interprets as Meggy promising to help Mr. Puzzles. We later see Meggy scrolling through Mr. Puzzles' criminal record, showing that she is deep down somewhat interested in reaching out to him and helping him maybe, and as she goes to look at what his sentencing was, the shot switches to Meggy's face as she has a very surprised reaction to whatever was listed as his sentence. I've seen some people speculate that the sentencing read that Mr. Puzzles has escaped, but this makes no sense, as why would this be listed under his sentencing? Plus, surely such a thing would have been all over the Mushroom Kingdom news. Marty's escape was reported in the news, so I'd find it highly strange if they did not report on a much bigger villain escaping, and so it doesn't really make much sense that Meggy would find out through looking up his criminal record or whatever instead of just seeing it in the news. So what was Mr. Puzzles' sentencing? Well, the only thing that would make sense is if Mr. Puzzles had been sentenced to execution, which would explain Meggy's shock, as deep down there is clearly a part of her who sees the good in Puzzles and is unlikely to want to see him die. And I would imagine that for plot purposes, Mr. Puzzles' execution is probably slated to happen rather soon, creating a ticking clock as Meggy reluctantly has to try and reduce Puzzles' sentence, or even go as far as to free him before the date of his execution. Obviously there'll be more to the plot than just this. Mr. Puzzles certainly has some sort of scheme brewing, because we've seen him befriending Mr. Weapons and observing the outside world, likely by transmitting himself to other TVs, since the guards clearly didn't think to remove his TV antennas. And we know he's been observing the world, because he obviously knew some of the events that had happened in Silence of the Cats, since he references what happened to Mr. Weapons. However, in the episode, we didn't see or hear anything about Mr. Puzzles or Mr. Weapons, so it would be impossible to speculate about what their upcoming scheme may really involve, or how Mr. Weapons will factor into this arc in general, since we've heard nothing about him so far. Though we do know that obviously Mr. Weapons' goal will involve Karen and the kids in some way, and so we can expect to see these characters play a significant role in this arc as well. I also think it's possible we could see Marty be recruited by Puzzles during this arc. In his last appearance, we see Marty get put back into prison, which is also where Mr. Puzzles just so happens to be located right now. And we also saw a new character introduced, Marty's son, who is an entirely original design and model, which could signify their importance. Plus, Marty having a son now gives him something in common with Mr. Weapons, funnily enough, and could potentially lead to the two having aligned goals or views or whatever. As for any other villain candidates who could be recruited by Mr. Puzzles, I can't really think of anyone else who isn't really obscure, as currently this sort of trio are like the three main antagonists who are still roaming around in the SMG4 universe, and like it makes the most sense just for these characters to appear really. Since this is the beginning of the arc and we obviously haven't really heard anything about what Mr. Puzzles and Mr. Weapons are up to since Silence of the Cats. Obviously both characters don't actually appear in Split, and so we can't possibly know what they might be planning. The only possible hint we have is in the end of WPNZ 2024, Mr. Puzzles clearly hints at wanting to get revenge against the SMG4 crew, and he specifically uses the word assassinate. So I have no idea if that was intentional or not, but obviously, you know, Mr. Weapons is an assassin and Mr. Puzzles has just befriended him, and so while I don't think they always planned since WPNZ 2024 to introduce Mr. Weapons and the whole Karen arc, you know, it could align, that could have ended up retroactively becoming a hint towards Mr. Puzzles befriending Mr. Weapons, partly so that he can use him to assassinate the SMG4 crew and get revenge. And obviously I imagine part of the deal is that Mr. Weapons will get to assassinate Karen probably as well. And I assume Mr. Puzzles might help fix Mr. Weapons, because obviously he was left in a broken state. Obviously if Marty joined, I'm not too sure what his motivation would be. Perhaps he would be in on revenge, since after all that seems to be one of his main motivating factors. In We Must Kill Mario, he had, the whole plot of his was about getting revenge against Mario. So if the theme of the arc is revenge, obviously Marty would fit pretty well in there. He'd probably mainly be a comic relief side antagonist, though since he has a son now, and so he has a thematic link to Mr. Weapons, and he's clearly a bit more caring as a father than Mr. Weapons. Maybe they could do something there. Have Mr. Weapons and Marty contrast with each other, something silly like that. Maybe Mr. Weapons could learn a lesson from Marty, who knows. But yeah, there's not really much more to say other than obviously Mr. Puzzle's plan is likely to be about revenge, but it's definitely got nothing to do with, ratings or fame, because as it was established at the end of WPNZ 2024, he's gotten over that thanks to Meggy. He's all about friendship now, which is, why he's reaching out to Mr. Weapons, partly because he wants a friend and he sees someone in need. And that could be why he reaches out to Marty as well. But yeah, we really don't know much. We don't know if, Mr. Puzzles might get freed because, Meggy helps him get out, or Mr. Puzzles might manipulate Meggy into unwittingly freeing him. Maybe she doesn't go out of her way to free him, but he, uses Meggy to help free himself. Of course, it's always possible, at some point Mr. Weapons might just bust in and free him anyway. We really don't know. A lot of this depends on how Mr. Weapons actually ends up playing a role in this arc. We really don't know what sort of role he's going to play. So that's mostly it about my thoughts and theories. However, there is one final thing I'd like to talk about. While I appreciate a lot about this episode, such as how it doesn't rush into the return of Mr. Puzzles and Weapons, and is instead slowly building up to their return in an intriguing way, I have some issues with the character of Meggy so far in this little arc. Obviously there is the issue I have with Meggy returning at all, which I briefly mentioned earlier, but I'm also confused about this whole job hunting thing Meggy has been doing for the past 2 episodes. She has a degree in coaching, and we've seen her doing this job a few times since the end of Western Spaghetti, so why is she job hunting for jobs that have nothing to do with her field of expertise? Also, it was a little strange that Meggy lost all her strength while Leggy gained it all. Wouldn't it have made more sense if Meggy just had her strength halved, and that half of it went to Leggy? Those are little nitpicks really. But anyway, that's enough from me for today. The setup for this arc is intriguing, and I'm very curious to see where it goes. Bye.
What's going on? Why do I feel so
Weak!